Hello there, reason people, PoohBear here and welcome to my channel. A question has come in with regards to they would like to have a joystick controller a bit like the Prophet VS Korg Wavestation in a combinator. So the fact they're referring to it as in a combinator, I'm assuming they're after some kind of soft solution. So that's what we're going to look at today. So just in case people don't know what they're looking at, I happen to have this Korg Wavestation here, and basically what the Korg Wavestation was famous for was the vector synthesis, which is this bit here, which is basically morphing between 4 different oscillators, and the wave sequencing, because you could select different waves out of order, whereas originally your waves were sequentially chosen, but they allowed you to do it out of order. But anyway, let's not get sidetracked. So, and this will actually basically just morph between several different, as I say, we'll say 4 different oscillators. And yes, we can actually do something like that. We can do it with we need a couple of free devices and we need a couple of paid devices. So let me just quickly grab these up, or shall I zoom in first? I'll quickly zoom in so everyone can see what I'm doing. And by the way, I'm using auto hotkey to zoom in and out using Reason's zoom functionality. So I don't actually have to, and I'm actually got it on a simple little pad here. But you can do it on your set it up so you can use your function keys from your normal keyboard or whatever to zoom in and out very quickly. So what we're going to need is a Morphix. Whoops, I think it's spelled differently, isn't it? Yeah, it's spelled with an F, duh. There we go, so quick grab that across. I'm going to hold my control key down to make a copy of that. I'm going to hold my control key down to make another copy of that. And the other utilities I'm going to need is one called, I think it's a CV pad by Tonic Meat, and this is the one I'd actually recommend to use, but there is another utility just in case you've already got it, and it's called oh, there it is, excellent, Vectorizer. I couldn't quite remember its full name. There we go. So Quadlectrics, I think that is, isn't it? Anyway, yes, we can use this, or we can use this. As I say, I more recommend using this, and this is what we're going to use for our pad to obviously be able to navigate around our different, and we're not going to be navigating around our different oscillators. We're going to use this to actually navigate around our different instruments, which makes it even more fun. So you're not just isolated to a single oscillator, you can actually morph between different instruments really easy. So we've got to have 3 of these. Simple reason is this is going to be instrument number 1, this is going to be instrument number 2, this would be instrument number 3, this would be instrument number 4, and this will actually morph between the 2 different set of instruments. So obviously I can morph between instrument 1 and instrument 2, easy. I can morph between instrument 3 and instrument 4, easy. And this is obviously then going to morph me between instruments 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So equivalent, we're going to set this up, these 2 top ones, to the left and right, and then the bottom one will be the up and down. So let's see if we can get this a little bit more on the screen and see what we're going to do. And in fact, what I'm going to do, thinking about it, I'm actually going to combine this all up for the simple reason is, if I was to do this normally, I would just take this wire up here and put that into that in, take this wire up here and put that into that in there, whoops, and take that wire and put that into that in there, and it is more or less kind of working. Now down here you've got X, Y, which is referring to as the X and Y, and we've also got this satellite, and we've got this smooth function. I totally recommend using the smooth function because you can actually turn the speed up quite fast, by the way, and then change these onto satellite. These actually do say satellite even though they haven't quite zoomed in. And I'm going to put that onto satellite X, I'm going to put that one onto satellite. I'm actually going to change the order of things. I'm going to put that onto satellite Y, and I'm going to put that one's already on satellite X. That's absolutely brilliant. And so now, as I say, me moving this around, hey, these are actually in the background. Crossfading, but you're going to have to take my word for it. Hence why I just said I'm going to combine this lot up, because if I combine this lot up, then at least we can actually put this into a combinator, and you can actually see it moving yourself. So you don't have to take my word for it. Oh, I got into the wrong one there, isn't it? It's the edit. Still getting used to this Reason 12 stuff. Right, I said that's going to be my XY, which I want my XY to make sure that's number 2. Yep, and that'd be number 3. Brill. So I'm going to turn this one into instrument number 1. and I'm just going to dewire everything so we don't get confused. So I want instrument number 1 and 2. This is going to be my middle to crossfade between the two, and this will be instrument 3 and 4. So to actually wire these up, your instruments would come physically into that port and that port, and instrument 3 would be in that one, instrument 4 now. So it'd be instrument 1, instrument 2, instrument 3, instrument 4, and then what you do is you take this out and wire this into here, and you take this out to wire into here, and this one you'd actually go and wire, I suppose, effectively, there, I suppose, isn't it? We can now wire straight into that bit of the combinator. Well, you go to your mixer channel, or you can just put that out to a mixer channel. Hey, create a new mixer channel. There we go. So we've gone out to the mixer channel. But that's basically it. So we're taking the input, put it into this, taking the input, put it in this, and now we can crossfade between them two inputs, which them two inputs are crossfading between the machines. But we've got to set some other bits up within the combinator itself before we can do that. So on the first Morphix, we're going to come here and we're going to go to CV1. That actually says CV1, and then under here we go to crossfade. That's it, it's done. On this one here, we're going to go to CV2 and we're going to crossfade. And in fact, on this one here, we could go back to CV1 to be perfectly honest. I know I'd done 3 down the bottom. I think I was having a little bit of a brain fart moment. But there we go, so we can actually use that. So now theoretically, if I start moving this around, you can see what we're doing. So up and down is going to move the middle one, and left and right is going to move the other two. And I've got it on smooth at the moment. And this is why I like this move, because if I'm juggling my mouse around, you can actually slow this right down as well. So I can go, whee, and you can see them taking their time. Because it's the red button they're following. So that's this called the satellite. So just in case I'm wobbling, it doesn't wobble as much. And of course you can speed that right up, or if you don't want any kind of smoothness at all, obviously you've got the mega outs. But I would highly recommend using the smooth functionality. And that's really it. We are actually up and running. I know I'm going to say, hey, take my word for it. But what I'm going to actually do is many years ago, I actually done a combinator, because there is actually a couple of rack extensions which have a vector built into them. And you may have them. And the advantage of using them rack extensions is it saves you having to automate it. You can sort of do yourself a pattern. And they are called Go-To and Vecto, if I remember the name rightly. So here we go. I've got this patch here. In fact, when did I do that patch? Oh, 2016. There we go. So I've got this patch I've done many years ago. It's probably going to sound terrible patch, but there we go. So let's have a look at the devices. Here we go. I was going to zoom out. Yay. So what makes this so special, and I say this is the vector bit, which is going around in the middle. I zoom in again. But I've got a vector at the top and I've got another one at the bottom, and they're all attached. So I've got my Morphix here, which is AB in between these two. This Morphix is AB in between this one and this one. This one is what I said is now morphing between the two Morphix. And the middle is actually the equivalent of this bit here. So rather than me moving this, I've actually got it, you could say, semi-automated. So you can do yourself nice pretty patterns using Vector, and Go-To has these outputs as well. So let me quickly zoom back in again, he says. Hey, there we go, we zoomed back in again. Even though it zoomed me way over there. So as I say, this is my Vector bit. So let's see, can we tab to the back? There we go. So here's my X and Y out. You can see this is not even wired up at all. Don't worry about these little meters here. I think I put them there years ago just so I could see something else going on. But as I say, that's right, I probably put these here is because we didn't have these moving because I was wired directly into it, whereas obviously you can see if you go into actually go via the combinator, you can see things moving. And so we're flipping around. I'm actually going to turn this right down. Let's go to quite a slow speed. And so what's this semi-special about this patch? I say semi-special is every vector I've got set up has got its own vector going in. So each of them have their own. There might not be a complete circle, and you can see this. So each of these are going between their 4 oscillators. And this one's going for its 4, and the other 2 are going through its 4 oscillators. So you can think of it, I've got 16 oscillators being spun round, 4 in each corner, and we're going around listening to them. So if I hold a key on my keyboard down, he says, let's try that one there. So now we're now playing another one. And of course you can speed these up. So there you go, just a simple bit of fun. But the main thing is, this is the sort of method you can also go for if you wanted to do something a bit more manually. And I say this is doing exactly the same thing really what that was doing over there. So yeah, quite simple. Whoops, I actually forgot to have a quick chat about the Vectorizer, which I loaded up earlier. It's virtually the same principles. There's lots of other sort of extra modifications you can actually have on it, but the basics, just for this particular video, so we can keep it nice and straight, we can control the middle dot, and on the back, what you'd be interested in is taking these outputs. Now, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, you'd want the bottom and the right when you're wiring up into the Morphix. And the reason you want the bottom and the right is because I think if you push the left in and use the left, you don't have to use them all, you see, even though it says top, bottom, left and right. It doesn't matter which one you kind of use, but if I remember rightly, if I use left, it does the Morphix the wrong way round. So when I push the dial that way, it would go to the right hand channel and vice versa. So by using the right one, when I move this way, the Morphix itself will move that way. When you go this way, the Morphix will move that way. And the same with the bottom and top. I like this to be top and that to be bottom, you see. But if you want the other way around, you can use the top and you can use the left, which would do the reverse as well. But this is a good little device, and in fact, off the top of my head, I think that's about 30 quid, might be just under. This is around about 15 quid, thereabouts. And there is another device out there. I don't have it. I think it is something like the Mutation Collider or something, which is a big mixing device. It's got a lot of other functionality into it. It's about 50 quid. But it has a lot of other stuff built into it. But for this type of thing, I still would recommend really the CV pad, purely because of the functionality what you have with the smoothness and that side of thing is really nice. But hey, this is actually quite a nice little device. I've had this for absolutely donkey's years, probably when they first came out with this stuff. And yeah, these are brilliant little devices as well, especially when you start getting to the offsets and all that sort of curves and all that kind of goodness and the CV side of things. Anyway, so all I'm going to say is thank you for watching, and bye for now.